Hello guys, I'm off to a new video, and today we're going to be talking about the state of healing, or basically the role of a healer in Mythic Plus dungeons, because I do quite a few of these videos depending on whether the meta is changing or shifting, or the playstyle of healer is evolving for the better or the worse. And today this is going to be a discussion video, and I love to know or hear your input based on what it means to be a healer. So first of all, we saw a lot of changes when it comes to healing in Mythic Plus based on Blizzard's feedback, because Blizzard really cares about this issue, because they have done multiple different things in order to change how healing feels from season 1 of Dragonflight to season 2. Remember, they increased the HP of players and increased the damage of enemy mobs in order to make healing feel harder, because you could see the power creep of healers coming into season 1, because in season 1 they nerfed a lot of dungeon checks and things like that. So they did some band-aid fixes, and this has meant that season 2 feels a lot more about healing checks than anything else. And this is purely one of the main reasons why I'm doing this video, because I want to talk about season 2 in terms of Mythic Plus, but I also want to talk about patch 10.15 in terms of what Blizzard is doing for hybrid classes, in terms of their utility, in terms of their off healing, in terms of their mana pools, because there's quite a few changes that are happening in the next patch. But let's get back to season 2. Season 2 has quite a few healing checks out there. I genuinely believe if you're a healer who's poking content, maybe not doing the highest keys in the world, but generally doing decently high keys, you probably have seen that the main way to time a key right now, it's not that the healer needs to pump damage, it's basically for you to meet those healing checks, for you to make sure that everyone stays alive. Maybe, again, it is dependent on the group on terms of DPS, using their defensive cooldowns, using health potions, using health stones, or whatever they have available. But general consensus of season 2 is that you heal, you time the key. That's basically the whole consensus of season 2, because you're not going to deplete a key because a healer did not pump or do 5k or 10k extra DPS. Because I have to tell you, for a lot of people who are watching this video or pushing high keys, some of the highest keys in the world have been done with healers doing 20k overall damage. There is very big differentiation in healer damage compared to the rest of the group, because you will never beat the damage of a tank. Healer damage overall has scaled really poorly. Majority of healers damage comes from primordial gems. A healer can do a lot of damage if they have the right trinkets. For example, the beacon trinket from Sacred is absolutely insane if you manage to pick it up. So you can do decent damage as a healer, but that is not going to be the main factor for you timing keys. There are tank specs out there who can do so much damage that they can almost compete with pure DPS classes. So a healer's damage, it's always going to be the last in the group, and probably proportionally tiny compared to the overall group's DPS potential. And this is what I've seen a lot in season 2, where healers are focusing too much on damage rather than healing, because there is so many healing checks out there, especially on tyrannical weeks. There are some insane bosses, insane trash bag pulls, insane healing requirements that have not been nerfed, and I think Blizzard is not nerfing them on purpose because they want healers to heal. The shift from season 1, because in Dragonflight at the end of season 1 and in Shadowlands, healer DPS was a big factor because the healing checks were just not there. Again, I am stating season 1, end of season 1, because at the start of season 1 the healing checks were probably bigger than you have ever seen in World of Warcraft, but they have been nerfed. So in season 2 the healing checks are still there, and healing is going to be your #1 job in order to time the key. I'm not saying you should not DPS as a healer. You should absolutely press DPS buttons when you have nothing going on, but if you're someone who just focuses purely on DPS, the amount of damage that you're providing to the group versus how much healing or even preventing wipes you could do by just healing and babysitting the group, it's very different in season 2. And how do you feel about that? How do you feel about healers having to heal? You can ask any top-end pusher right now in terms of healers. They will tell you this season feels very different, and it's all about making sure people are alive, because that's how you're going to time keys. There has been keys, really high keys in terms of 24s, 23s being done without a healer, and there's been Twitter posts about this. I generally believe these keys done without a healer are baiting the whole community, because honestly it only impacts 0.00001 of the community, and it depends on the dungeon that you're doing, on the key that you're doing, and you have to have a lot of hybrid DPS classes with a lot of off heal. You can't do a key without a healer, but I do not recommend this for 99% of people out there, because most of the people will have a hard time healing or meeting the healing requirements for a +20 key right now. I don't think these 4 DPS groups are going to be meta in season 2 unless Blizzard nerfs these healing checks, because Right now, I think for majority of people out there, being a healer can be extremely an anxious experience, because in my opinion, by far the hardest role right now is being a healer, because the amount of healing checks you have, the amount of you're supposed to heal, you're supposed to meet the healing checks, you're supposed to provide utility, you're supposed to DPS, and all of that combination can be extremely daunting for any healer or any new player coming into World of Warcraft. And this goes on to my second question. Healers have to heal right now. The healing requirements have not been nerfed. Your healer damage is not comparable to the rest of the group unless you have some really good DPS trinkets. But why am I seeing, and again, this is anecdotal information, this is why I want to know your opinion about this. I'm seeing quite a lack of healers in Mythic Plus groups in terms of signups, in terms of doing high keys, in terms of doing poke keys. Again, I do DPS once in a while, and I do see lack of healers in that queue. Is that something you're also experiencing? Do you think healers are being put off by the amount of healing checks right now? Do you think healers have become extremely bitter because they're being blamed for everyone's death, when, for example, you could be using your defensives, your health bots and things like that, because you can really help out the healer with those massive healing checks? So now let's go to patch 10.15 in terms of what is happening to hybrid DPS specs. Blizzard basically announced that they're going to be nerfing a lot of hybrid DPS off healing through abilities like Ancestral Guidance, Nature's Vigil, or Vampiric Embrace. Now, there will probably be more changes happening before the patch goes live, so I'm not going to go through all the changes here, but the indication or intention has been clear. They don't want the hybrid DPS classes to do so much healing without losing DPS. And this is why they also implemented another change in terms of increasing hybrid mana pool to 250,000 mana, which is absolutely insane because the previous mana pool was around 50,000, which means, and again, this is coming from Blizzard, more continuous casting but less regen. Just an example, this is live service right now. This is not patch 10.15. You can see here, this is my Elemental Shaman. I have 50,000 mana, and I can basically cast 4 healing surges, which do around 60,000 healing, before I run out of mana. And I need to wait for the mana regen to happen. And again, I'm waiting in order to off heal. This is just an example from live service. Now, what is happening in patch 10.15? This is my exact same Elemental Shaman on PTR service for patch 10.15, and you can see here the mana pool for Elemental has been increased to 250,000 mana. That means if I want to keep casting healing surges, I can keep doing that. Again, the value is the same, around 60,000. I can keep doing that for quite a while before I actually run out of mana. And this is, again, I can keep going. I can keep doing it, and you can see the healing surges and things like that. You can do a lot of off healing if you have to. Now, the basic idea, what is the meaning of this? Why is Blizzard doing this? Because I'm still trying to understand the whole purpose of this. They want you to continuously cast for longer but have less mana regen, which to some extent, if you're doing a Mythic Plus dungeon and you're approaching a tyrannical boss and you're like, hey, I know Ancestral Guidance has been nerfed, I know Natural Vigil has been nerfed, I know Vampiric Embrace has been nerfed, I'm going to need help for around 20 seconds in one specific part of the boss encounter. In that case, you could have an Elemental Shaman off healing, sacrificing their DPS in order to off heal for those 20 seconds, because you do have the mana pool to do it. I'm not sure if Elemental Shaman is going to like sacrificing their DPS to off heal, but is that the intention the Blizzard is trying to do? Let me know if I'm missing something here, because I'm not 100% sold on this change in terms of what is Blizzard trying to achieve. Are they trying to help healers? Are they trying to annoy hybrid DPS specs? But the whole summary of the video, I don't want to ramble on too much. This is a pure discussion video. I want to know, how do you feel about Season 2 Mythic Plus healing? Because I can tell you right now, if you're a new healer coming in, or if your healer is doing high-end Mythic Plus, you have to heal more than ever, and the success of a key is based on how much or how you can handle those healing checks. Of course, hybrid DPS classes can help you out with a lot of abilities. Again, we saw in 10.15 they're nerfing a lot of these hybrid DPS abilities, and again, they're increasing the mana or the mana pool of those hybrid DPS classes to probably offset the changes. I don't know, let me know. We also have to look at possible solutions for Season 3. When Season 3 is going to be released, is Blizzard also going to increase the player HP and then increase the enemy damage in order to make healing harder? Is that going to be another band-aid fix that they're going to approach? Because there is always going to be a power creep happening. The more item levels you get, the healing is going to become easier to an extent where you might be focusing more on damage. That's what happened in Season 1 because healing requirements were severely nerfed by Blizzard. What do you think Blizzard should do in the future when approaching healing requirements, especially when considering Season 3? How do you feel about the whole concept of healers having to heal more, and the whole concept or importance of healer DPS diminishing severely in this season? Are you someone who likes to DPS as a healer? Do you like to just heal as a healer? And let me know if you're seeing less healers in that queue. Do you feel that healers have too much responsibility on their shoulders? Because the success of a key, a lot of the times in Mythic Plus dungeons, especially on high-end tyrannical keys with high healing checks, is going to fall on your healer. Is healing the hardest role by far in Dragonflight Season 2? Let me know how you feel about this video. Let me know how you feel about all of the things, because this is a pure discussion video, because I don't have a solution for you. I don't have all the answers right now, because it is purely dependent on the community and you. Let me know, and I'll see you in my next video.